everyone, thanks for joining us for today's episode of the Doobert webinar. So today I'm going to be showing you guys how to set up your crisis boarding cases within CCM. So this is really great because I'm going to teach you how to customize your case basically to work for a crisis boarding program, or just give you some ideas of how you can use it for your program depending on your needs. So if you're new to our webinars, what we're going to do is just go through a brief slideshow, kind of overviewing what we're going to be talking about. And then after that, we're going to jump into the system and I'm going to walk you through all the steps that I'm taking to get this crisis boarding case ready. And then we're going to hop back into the slideshow and we're going to go through just a brief Q&A towards the end with any of our questions from any of our demos, or we get to our help email, things like that. So other than that, our overview on the crisis boarding cases, what we're going to do is create a case for each request that our organization gets. And the reason we're going to do this is because this is going to be where all of their information lives. So their contact information, their needs, their pet information. Basically, it's just going to be one comprehensive case for your crisis boarding applicants or requests. And then we're going to look at using case tags to really prioritize some of our key information because they're going to be right in front of us when we open up that case. So it's a great way to get some of your most important information at a glance. And then we're going to also talk about adding animal profiles to our cases because this is really great for identifying the pets that are in need of boarding assistance. So whenever you take a request for your crisis boarding program, I highly recommend adding an animal profile. Just because then you have a really comprehensive record of the animal, especially for when they're in boarding care. You have all the information on them that you may need. So moving on to getting to know our cases. So our cases are customizable. They can be customized to fit almost any of your programs. We'll create a case type for crisis boarding and a status for an applicant for a crisis boarding foster or our closed case once they are finished in their boarding program. And we're going to use tags for our priority levels, whether it's a high priority, medium priority, or low, depending on how soon that the owner might need their pet in boarding care. So that's a really good use for our tags because you can also search by our tags as well. And then we can also add some tags about the situation. So for example, the amount of time the pet's going to be in boarding, whether they have dogs or cats. This is another really great feature for searching through some of your cases. And then another really good thing that you can use these tags about the contact section for is for any demographic information that you like to collect. Some organizations like to collect demographic info, for example, male, female, age, things like that, just so they can run a report and see where a lot of their applicants live, for example, or kind of what age range they fall in, things like that, just some key insights. And then I'll also show you guys how to use the notes section to record whenever a contact reached out for assistance. That's a really good thing to record. So really anything that you want to use a note section for, you can, but in my example, I use it to record the date that they reached out to the organization for crisis boarding assistance. So then looking at creating our animal profiles for our cases, we're going to want to add an animal profile to the crisis boarding case to identify the pet or pets needing assistance. And I highly recommend adding a picture to your cases because this is really good for easy identification, but also when you're looking for an ideal foster or temporary housing volunteer. It's always good to have a picture so they can reference the pet that they might be fostering or housing for a short amount of time. And then I always recommend adding any likes, dislikes, and compatibility information for boarding purposes. Just gives the volunteers a little bit of information about the pet. And I also like to highly recommend adding any medical data in the clinical tab if it is necessary, if they have any allergies, medications, things like that. That's always good for the organization to have. And especially when the pet is in boarding care, they have that information and then they can relay that to the volunteers. So that is pretty straightforward, but that is really how we're going to start setting up our crisis boarding case with both our case and our animal profiles. So now we're going to jump into the system and I'm going to show you guys what this case is going to look like. Okay, so I'm logged in as my organization now. I am in our beta environment, just so you guys know. I say this in every webinar, but just in case we run into any bugs or anything looks a little off, that would be why we use this for kind of like a sandbox testing, demoing purposes like that. But other than that, I'm going to head over to our companion case management module right here, and we're going to hop over into our cases. And I'm going to click on View Advanced Filters, and as always, I'm going to search for my cases assigned to me right here. And down here, this is all of our cases in our organizations account that are assigned to me. So I am going to look for my crisis boarding one right here for Bentley John. This is going to be my example that I'm going to walk you guys through. And this is a pre-existing case, but if you're looking to create a new case, you can create one with this plus sign right here, where you can go in and fill in your case name, our case statuses. I always like to say new application or awaiting review, anything like that, that just lets you know that there is a new application. New app is a really good one that I like to use for these. So when you're choosing your statuses, and then our case type, crisis boarding, you can choose that from your list here as well, description, and then all of our contact information here, and then we'll click save. But we have a webinar on case creation, so if you're interested in learning a little bit more about that, definitely go check that out. It is one of our earlier ones, but I'm going to jump back into our pre-existing case just so I can show you guys all of the components that I have in there. So clicking on our case for crisis boarding for Bentley John, I'm going to click on this one. And right here, as you can see, we have our case name up here. This is the applicant's name. And then we have our status as a new app. Like I said, that's one of my favorites to use for a application-based program. And then right here, our case type is crisis boarding. So that all looks great. And then down here is what I mentioned about our tags. So our tags are super easy to add either an existing or create a new one. So right here we have high priority, meaning that he is looking for boarding assistance right away or as soon as possible. And then 1 month is just a good estimate of how long he thinks his dog Pepper will be in boarding care. And then I also have dog female right here just for easy search purposes. For example, if you're searching through any of your crisis boarding cases and you're trying to find the ones that have a female dog, male dog, things like that, that they involve, I always like to add a tag for that just because it makes it so easy to find those cases. So if we want to go ahead and add a new tag, we can just start typing. So we'll put medium priority. And I don't have one for this exact phrase yet, so I'm going to create a new one. So once we have that typed in, we just choose our color right here, and then it's going to say create a new tag called medium priority, and then we can just click on the plus sign right here. So super, super easy to add a new tag, or if you want to search through some of your existing ones, we can do that as well. So once we have medium priority right here, we can see it right there, and we can just click on it from there. So super, super easy to manage your tags within the case. And then down here for the description, we just have Bentley John needs to leave town to help a family member in an emergency situation, is needing boarding until he comes back. So just a brief description about the situation if you're interested in saving that information, just for your organization's insight on what's going on. So you can either add a description, or if you don't really have a lot of information, you can always leave that blank, or put, for example, just basically all you know. So if we want to edit our case description, we can just click on the pencil right here, and we can begin typing. We can bold, italicize, underline, strike through, all things like that. So I really love the text formatting features within our case description. Those are super helpful if you like to kind of categorize your case description. So that's always great. And then down here, you can see that we have our contact information right here. So here we have everything that our organization is going to need to contact the crisis boarding applicant. So we have their name, their phone number, secondary phone number if you have one. If you don't have an email, none@none.com works fine. But just keep in mind, if you're looking to communicate with them by email, you want to put in a valid email, otherwise it won't go through. And then if they have a preferred contact method, how they found your organization, you can include that here as well. And then we have the zip code as the required field. So I always just put in 5 zeros if we don't have it, but if we do have it, we can always add that. And then their address if we want to store that as well. So I'm just going to click save on this. And here we have our animal profile. So if you're looking to add an animal profile to your case that is brand new, a full ad, brand new animal profile, it's never been within your organization before, you're going to want to click on this full ad right here. And this is just going to walk you through a few prompts of putting in all of your animal's information, name, type, breed, things like that. And then you have some privacy settings here too. but I am going to show you guys an existing one that we added already and just kind of walk you through what we have in it. So right here we have our outcome as move to rescue or shelter. You have a couple different outcome options if you're interested in using that feature. And then we have a little picture of Pepper right here, the name, and we have our privacy setting as unlocked right here, and only organizations can view it. But for crisis boarding, I always highly recommend putting these as the private setting. So if you click on that, it's going to take you to the privacy tab, and then right here we can click only within our organization and save. But heading back into the animal profile right here, if we want to view all the details of the animal profile, we're just going to click on these three dots right here and click Edit Profile. And this is where we can see all of the animal's information. So like I said, this is really great for boarding purposes, compatibility, just letting the foster or boarding volunteer, anything like that, whoever the pet will be staying with, a little bit of information about them. They can also see a picture. We have our general tags right here. So for example, if the pet has allergies, we can note that right here. So that's a really good one to use this for, or if they have any like really strong dislikes, if they're not compatible with cats or dogs, kids, things like that. So these tags work just as the ones within the case did. And then down here we have just a couple notes sections if you want to collect any more animal information and put that there. And then we have our likes, dislikes, and fun facts. This is always good when your pet will be staying with someone else, just so they can get to know them well and get to know what they like and what's going to make them feel most at home. So we can put likes, fetch. We can put dislikes, thunderstorms, for example, and we can put fun facts. Pepper is a good swimmer. So just something fun about the animal if you prefer to add it. And then we just have a bunch of different animal information down here as well. But I do want to point out that we have our clinical tab right here. And this is where you would want to go ahead and add any vaccines that the pet might have, tests, preventatives, treatments, medications, anything like that that might be necessary to include. For example, if they have allergies, we can put that right here. We can say can't have chicken. So a lot of different options here, but I highly recommend adding any clinical information for your crisis boarding cases because it just makes everything so much easier. But once we have our animal profile all ready to go, we're going to click Save. So that's going to save all of the information in our animal profile. And now we're going to hop over into our additional information tab right here. And this is where we can start utilizing our tags about the contact. So for example, if there's any key information about for example, the applicant in your crisis boarding program, we can put any key information about them right here. So for example, they're accessible by text. That's probably best for them. So that's a really good basically piece of information to put in your tags about the contact. And then we can also put a little bit about their situation. For example, why they have to be away from their pet. So medical conditions, for example, is just a pretty brief explanation as to what's going on. Just if your organization likes to collect that information, that's a really good place to put it. And then our notes about the contact right here is where you can put really any information that you want about the contact. But for my example, I have that they contacted Cause for Pause on 6/1/24 for crisis boarding assistance, just so we have a record of, for example, when they reached out, if we want to put the time, or any other key information that we might need to reference later on. We can put that right there. We can just start typing and then click add right here, similar to our case tags. And then other than that, we have a file section right here as well. If you want to upload any of the pet's vet records, behavior assessments, anything like that, we can store that within the case here as well. You can just click add a file right there, and then you'll just be able to select one right from your computer. But other than that, that is really all I have for looking at a crisis boarding case and walking through how we can customize it to best fit your crisis boarding program. So now I'm going to jump back into the system and we're going to go through just a quick little Q&A. Okay, so our first question is, where can I go to customize my case types and statuses for my crisis boarding program? So that's a really great question. So I'm going to jump back in the system and walk you guys through that one. So I'm back in our case, and I am just going to click on Companion Case Management right here, and I'm going to head down to our Manage Defaults. And right here, we're going to see our Manage Case Statuses, and then we also have our Manage Case Types right here as well. So this is where we are going to be able to go in and set any of our case types and statuses that we want to be able to choose from when we're creating new cases. So, for example, if we want to add a status, we can just go ahead and click a plus sign, and we can create our status name. So we can put new app webinar, for example. We can choose our color, and if that looks good, we just click create, and then we'll be able to find our new one right here. Let me find it really quick. Right here, new app webinar, and then it'll tell you who it was created by within your organization if you have multiple team members. Okay, and then same goes for our case types. We can add them right here, or we can click on this little trash can and delete any of them. And then if you see any grayed out trash cans next to them, those are our system defaults. They can't be deleted, but any of the other ones you have free reign to edit them, delete them, change them, whatever you prefer. And then if you use the CCM dashboard, this is where you'll be able to go ahead and customize your quadrants to get your case type views. So you can edit those right here, but other than that, once all of our changes for our case types and statuses look good, and we have our crisis boarding in here and our new app or any others that you choose to use, we can just go ahead and click save. So super, super easy to get the case types and statuses customized to fit your crisis boarding program. And our next question is, tell me a little bit more about the Doobert crisis boarding plan. So I'm really excited to share this one with you guys. So I'm going to head over into our paid plans page right here, and I'm going to scroll down to our crisis boarding program. So basically what this is a program-based model to where if you have a crisis boarding program and you're looking to manage it in Doobert, this is a really great solution for you to have everything you need set up for you. So rather than entering all of that case information in manually like we talked through today, you will get a form, and with the crisis boarding one, you get up to 4, and our team will go and create these for you, and we're going to integrate them into your system, and we're also going to have training sessions with you to teach you how to use it, and also teach you how to use all of these features included here. So for example, the workflows, the templates, we're going to go here and set all these up for you beforehand, and then once we have it set up, then we'll connect with you to start training you in terms of how to use it. So that's really great, and I'm really excited to start sharing these plans with you guys. But the great thing about the forms with these paid plans is that it streamlines your data entry and it makes it so seamless. So for example, if you have a website, you can put a crisis boarding form on there and they'll just open up that form. Anyone looking to apply will go through and fill out all their information, animal information. It can even create an animal profile, things like that. So then once that is submitted on their end, then for your organization, you'll have that case automatically created with tags, description, all things like that. So it makes it so, so easy to start managing your requests. So just a little bit of information about that, but if you're interested in learning more, feel free to reach out to us at help@doobert.com, and also reach out to us at that email if you have any other questions that we didn't go through in our brief little Q&A. So other than that, that is all I have for today's webinar. So thank you guys so much for joining me, and I hope to see you in our future webinars.